to episode 39 of It's Never Sunny in Seattle, a Seattle Mariners podcast. I'm your host, Evan James, joined today by Michael Ahedo, Anders Jorstad, and special guest all the way from Rhode Island, TikTok Mariners legend, Shay Weintraub. Shay, very excited to have you here today. Why don't you tell everybody how it is to be a Mariners fan in Rhode Island and what it's like to be a TikTok legend, because that's not something I can claim for myself.
Well, I will say that back in 2015, when I moved to Rhode Island, I went to a local sandwich shop and I was wearing a Mariners cap, and somebody came up to me and they're like, "That's a joke, right?" So I would say that probably encapsulates what it's like to be a Mariners fan in Red Sox territory. I did have a friend who I played fantasy baseball with who was a Red Sox fan, and she tried, talking some crap about the Mariners. I'm like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Dude," it's like, we don't need that. As far as TikTok goes, I actually just kind of started TikTok rather recently. I have been doing a few reels, a few TikToks, but for my personal work I work for a marketing agency as a content creator, and I've been moving more and more toward reels and TikToks for that. And so to get better at my full-time job, which I need to survive, I was like, maybe I should practice this a little bit. And, all of the bloggers say do something you're passionate about. And I think that I'm the most passionate about is the Mariners and baseball in general. And so I did that. I used the ring light that I bought during the pandemic. It was a panty purchase. I finally got to use it, so that's kind of how I ended up this way. Yeah.
Too many panty purchases. Like, I don't want to talk about it. I shouldn't have brought it up, but
I don't know if I like that term.
Say, yeah, I don't know.
I love that term. I'm going to steal that for what it's worth. That's my new saying now. But
we do post your TikToks in the Lookout Landing Slack a lot, pretty much whenever they're posted. Yeah, you're as Evan loves to throw around the term legend. Not to say that you're not one, but Evan does use the term very liberally. But yeah, you are a legend within the Slack.
That's great to know, because I think I've had like short conversations with at least half of the people on the Lookout Landing staff. I will say that the way that I was first introduced to Lookout Landing was Grant, because I went to leadership camp with his brother. I was like, wait a second, I recognize that last name, and I've never talked to Grant before, but I know Colin. And I was
bongos.
Like small
good old
world.
Yale Earnhardt.
Yeah, we played wiffle ball. Well, I played wiffle ball with him, but yeah, I'm aware. I know him. He's a nice dude.
Yeah. Which one of your TikToks took off? Like, there must have been a moment where something like really clicked and got a little bit of virality to it. Which one was it?
It was one where I had a Seahawk. I had a Richard Sherman jersey on, and then I had just a basic Kraken sweater, which I will say they're all kid sizes because I'm small, and so they're all like either medium or large kid size jerseys, which is perfect if you want to save some money. So I, start wearing the Sherman jersey, and I'm like, whatever, okay. And then I walk off screen, and I come in, I'm wearing a, navy blue Kraken sweater. I'm like, we're getting closer, like, okay. And then it goes to, God, I can't think of the band, but it's like the Good Part sound. And then let's skip to the good part and just do that. And in comes my, a Mariners jersey. And, in the past 2 decades, you wouldn't be thinking that the Mariners season would be the good part of Seattle sports seasons.
I was going to say.
But now it is.
Finally. It's the first time since I can't remember the last time they had a higher winning percentage than the Seahawks. Like, it's been a long time. So
I'm going to plead the fifth on that one because I'll be wrong.
Yeah, hopefully more of those. Yeah, it might be 2001. But
okay, I'm sure Seattle Sports Radio will find something else to talk about.
So that particular TikTok, I did see it. Was that a variation of that? Was like a theme for a while, right? That particular song and doing the changing of the outfits with the music, that was a trend for a while, right? Over this past summer.
There's been a lot of outfit change TikTok trends that have been going on. As far as that with the sound, I'm not sure. The first time I heard the sound, it was on an Instagram reel where somebody was jumping off of a platform and they're bungee jumping. And I watched that over and over and over again, only because I would never do that. But that song got stuck in my head, and I was thinking, oh, what's the good part? Baseball season, if we ever get to it. And it was a day that I took Adderall and I took my Adderall and I drank coffee. I was up pretty late. That was actually shot at like midnight.
That's when our best content's made.
Agreed.
The best content.
Content after dark.
Content after CAD. But yeah, that was that was pretty fun to do. I definitely like taking out my Mariners jerseys. I have about 4 of them.
Oh, what you got? Who you got?
I mean, okay, so I have my gray one. That was the first one I ever got. It was just there's nothing on the back. It was a kid's jersey. I have a Griffey Northwest green. My white one is a Robinson Cano jersey.
Oh,
respect.
Yeah, it was when they had it was for sale on the website. I think it was under $20, and I didn't have a white.
Whoa,
white jersey
really?
yet. Yeah. Well, I mean, a kid's jersey. So
I kind of consider him Beltre-esque. You know, like Beltre wasn't here that long. He wasn't particularly great.
I think
Cano had
above
a better
Beltre level.
I agree, and I think people think like if I saw someone wearing a Beltre jersey, I wouldn't be like, "Ha." I'd be like, "Oh, he's a Hall of Famer and was pretty good for the Mariners." So I like that. I would wear it.
The way that Cano left Seattle made me feel kind of like.
Yeah.
I mean, the word icky it's very elementary, but like kind of like ick.
I routinely forget that he still plays because he was suspended all of last year for PEDs again, as I recall. So he does still technically play for the Mets for 2 more seasons. So
yeah, the Universal D is such a blessing for them.
Oh, I forgot
his
about
knees
that. He's like 37. Yeah.
That's it. Oh well, I'm not great with
Well, maybe older. I'll Google it while y'all are talking.
I feel like the sentiment for Robinson Cano has changed. Like we've softened on that a lot, right? Like as Mariners fans, there's generally
he's 39.
Older than I thought.
Almost 40.
Is that not crazy to anyone else?
When's his birthday?
I don't know.
I have to know his
October. He's October 22nd.
Oh, he's a Sagittarius.
That's
Let's see. Libra.
Libra Sagittarius cusp.
Okay, so he's toxic, right?
Balanced, but moody. Moody, yeah.
That checks out.
Maybe that's
I'm
why
a Libra.
Ooh.
Are you?
Yeah, that's why I knew what sign was after me.
And you didn't even know still. It's all right. I don't really know either.
I'm
a
a
Virgo. I should have known. But yeah, anyways. We should just talk about zodiac signs. I'm a double Virgo.
Ooh.
I'm a double Libra.
I'm also toxic.
I'm not as a part of the queer female community, it's a rule. You have to know horoscopes to some extent. And so I got a little bit too into it, like my last year of college when I was like kind of bullshitting my exams, kind of not. I was like, I need something to actually study. And I just know that female Virgos and I don't mix, but I have a lot of male Virgo friends. So
yeah, I was gonna say I feel like we're homies.
Yeah.
Can you read my tarot?
That
looks like a no. Okay. I'll take kind of.
I have 3 decks.
I have a movie deck too somewhere in here, but I love having my tarot read to me. Although No, actually, I'm not gonna say that. But yeah, I do love that. That does make me think of one of the questions that you got. Look at the segue. I feel like you can't have a good segue without like ruining it and talking about how good it is. So
true.
I just did that. But let's see, who was it? Sherwood, whoever that is. Shay, I think you know more than I do. They might even follow me. They said, who are some of your favorite women in baseball? And I think you can take that how you want it. You can, either actually end baseball, writing about baseball, however you want to take that. I think that's a great starting point.
Well, I'll start with a fictional world. Dottie in A League of Their Own. Favorite movie. That's the first Gina Davis. No, I lied. Stuart Little was the first Gina Davis movie I ever saw.
Sorry, that was such a deep cut.
I haven't
And
seen
then
it.
A League of Their Own. Classic.
Oh my gosh.
Award winning.
Wait, which one? Stuart Little or A League of Their Own?
Both, obviously.
I mean, awards in my heart.
Oh, okay.
But no, A League of Their Own. I would say that's my favorite all-time movie. As far as real people go, Angie, she is. I just slight crush on her. The problem with women in baseball is I have a slight crush on, I think, most people.
All
but
four
it's
of us
like
have a crush on Angie, it sounds like, because Angie is hilarious.
We do love
so
Angie.
funny.
This is a Angie friendly, pro Angie podcast.
Very pro
Angie fan podcast.
Yeah.
She is just charismatic. She's great on screen, and she seems like she really enjoys what she's doing. And that's the secret sauce to anything. If people can tell that you're enjoying what you're doing, then you're already miles above most people.
Mm-hmm. Also, the best commentator the Mariners have outside of Rick Riz, in my opinion.
Blowers is up there, but the Blowers Angie team.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Real
I mean,
good.
she pairs the personable and knowledgeable. Rick Riz is just like I think when he's done, he'll be up there with Niehaus. So it's hard to compare, but Blowers is a little monotone, and that's fine. But I think Angie has the best of both worlds. So yeah, I think that's why we like her.
Blowers and Angie have really good interplay, in my opinion. Like the couple of the games that they did together, I thought that they were just terrific together.
Wish they'd do more.
Heads ground. Well. And then I will say that just women on Mariners Twitter, just it warms my heart. It warms my heart truly. I have made a few friends. I've made several friends on Mariners Twitter, but the female friends, Megan Corcoran, great. She's actually lives near me now. Brittany Needham, who is in Texas right now.
Hold up real quick. Corcoran, is that Roy Corcoran's wife or related to him?
No.
Sorry, when you say Corcoran, like my Mariners brain goes like
I forgot about that.
Like, oh my god, I know that name.
No, just a Twitter user.
just a Twitter user.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it was like beginning of the pandemic when I was just like, I'm just gonna follow a bunch of people that are talking about the Mariners, because I was on Mariners Reddit before I was on Mariners Twitter. It was a toxic wasteland.
I was gonna say that sounds like a terrible place to be.
It's like the Lookout Landing comments, but worse.
Awful.
Yesterday,
I did get a great sticker for my car out of it though, but
yeah,
awful got out of it.
Yesterday in the links, there were an argument in the comments section about whether Daddy Yankee was classified as a famous rapper or not, and I just can't believe people have the mental energy to spend
what
such things.
I mean,
anyway.
It's probably worse it's probably anti-vax stuff on Mariners Reddit and stuff like that. So
East side of the mountains. Yeah.
People defending Kendall Graveman, lamenting the trade.
Hey.
Oh.
No, yeah, you're right.
He signed with the Chicago White Sox. He's our nemesis now.
I like Kendall Graveman. Besides the anti-vax stuff, I don't know if he's an anti-vaxxer, but it kind of seems like he's an anti-vaxxer. Anyways, Keep going, Shay. Keep going strong.
And then I will say one of the top women in baseball that I appreciate to my core is Kate Pruser. And never, we've talked on the internet through the Lookout Landing Twitter, but I enjoy her humor, her knowledge of baseball. I don't know her personally, but I appreciate what she brings to Mariners baseball.
Yeah. It's also a pro Kate Pruser podcast as well. Have you been on the Lookout Landing podcast?
No, I haven't. I listened to I haven't listened to the Harry Ford episode yet, but I've listened to every episode definitely in 2021. Yeah, definitely in 2021, but I haven't listened to the latest yet.
So you're familiar with all of my whack takes. Good to know.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
I'll look into that. We're also a pro Shay Weintraub Slack.
just get
So
me in
I'll
on
bring
it.
up.
Get me in on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they would love to have you. You're like, yeah, make it happen. Casual.
I do want to say though, because you brought up the name Kendall Graveman, one thing I think of when I think of people who play baseball is just think of them just by their first name, not as it's like when
Kendall.
you like think of like the popular girls at your high school, you always call them first last name. I'm not going to name anybody from my high school because my reunion's in August, but
You should.
Sarah Nash, Greta Coleman. So
That is such a popular girl name in high school.
Sarah Nash.
No, Kendall.
Oh, Kendall. Yeah.
I don't know if I had any Kendall. No, we did have a couple. One of them was pretty cute and pretty popular. Oh man.
But I just think when I see these baseball players, I'm like, somebody just knows you by your first name, not by
They probably
the
called him
full name.
Grave or whatever, or Gravy. They probably,
Gravy.
they definitely
I
called him
Gravy.
Gravy.
But Kendall too. Yeah,
Kendall.
so that makes sense.
No. Justice. I think people call him Justice, or did he definitely has
Another
a
popular
nickname.
girl name.
No, it's not.
Justice with a C.
So that's your top
yeah,
three.
spelled
That's like your
differently.
big three of Mariners Twitter in terms of women on Mariners Twitter.
The top that come to mind, the top that I have, well, for Kate, it's like do I like want to be her or do I have a crush on her kind of thing. And then Megan and Brittany, I just appreciate them as people and who they are.
Yeah. Brittany went to Western. I know Brittany from Bellingham, sort of.
Yeah.
I met her through Twitter, and then we never met because of COVID, and then she moved to Texas. But Brittany is also lovely. I haven't talked to her for a while.
Did I tell you that I was at Western for like a hot sec?
What? When? What year?
It was first quarter of 2015, right before I moved to Rhode Island.
Oh, wow.
I transferred.
I was there.
I went to 5 schools, so that was my 4th one.
Whoa,
Five
that's
different colleges. Oh my god.
so many.
So I also went to Central.
I went to Central. This is where I graduated from.
I was gonna say no good.
The Berg. It's okay. I mean, mostly I just smoked weed. It's fine.
Yeah, I was in the music dorm and I didn't know how to play an instrument. I made a lot of good friends, but
were you in the music program? Their music program is like world renowned, which I didn't fully understand when I was there.
Yeah, that's where they had all the state music competitions when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The only instrument I know how to play is my armpit, and that doesn't.
Can we hear?
It's the history of jazz. I didn't teach it. I went to Central. I went to Western. I got my AA at Olympic College. I started at University of Arizona, and then I ended up finishing my degree at Rhode Island College.
Dang.
So I am done.
So what took you to Rhode Island relative to, the other Western Washington places you were? What about Rhode Island appealed to you? Or the school?
I met somebody, and in 2015, I was 20, turning 21, and I didn't, my best friend, he was going off somewhere to study abroad, and all my other friends were away in college, and I just didn't feel like I wasn't really enjoying my time, and I met somebody and she lived across the country, and it was wild what I did, but I mean, I met her before I ended up moving out here, but any queer woman that listens to this, watches this will nod their head. But yeah, I ended up moving out here, and we stayed together for about a year and a half after I moved out here, and then we broke up. At that point, I was in my program at Rhode Island College. I studied history, and I got a pretty good internship out of it. And you can't find a lot of jobs in history, so I decided to stay, and then I ended up getting a job from my internship. And then that job took me to the job I have now, which is not in history, but it worked out. And the person I moved out here for, she's one of my best friends. We figured our shit out, but we're no longer together. But that's why I came here. And I do like Rhode Island. It's been almost 7 years now.
Damn, that's like how long I was in Bellingham. It's a long time.
That segues into my mom Rhonda's question from Twitter, where she wants to know how you are a Mariners fan in Rhode Island and whether you actually stay up to watch the games at night.
So I became a Mariners. I mean, I was born in Renton. I grew up in Kent before I moved to Montana, and then when I moved back from Montana, I moved to the Kingston-Paulsville area. So naturally was a Mariners fan. I was a Red Sox fan in between there when I was in Montana.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Because my third grade teacher, who I loved, was from the Bronx. Somebody from the Bronx ended up in Montana, but she was diehard Yankees, and I was like, I wonder who like the rival of the Yankees are. And this is 2003, and so I go up on dial-up internet, just type in rival Yankees, and Red Sox come up. I'm like, let's do it, let's go. And so I was a Red Sox fan for a while.
I have to ask, since it was 2003, did you punch that question into Ask Jeeves? Oh my gosh, nobody understands that reference. It's okay. Somebody in
we do.
No, I know it. I was waiting on I don't remember the idiom, but I was waiting for Shay to answer. And Shay said maybe, right?
Maybe for what? Oh,
for Ask Jeeves. Yeah.
It's completely possible because that would have been 2003, 2004.
Only weirdos use Ask Jeeves, Shay.
Yeah, now it's just ask.com.
Google, Ask Jeeves, Bing. Like,
is it still a thing?
It's just ask.com now.
Yeah, it's just ask.com.
That's wild. I didn't know that it still existed.
Yep.
I haven't been there
new every day
since Nom, but I have been on Ask Jeeves. Yeah. Or Ask now. So yeah. I was a Red Sox fan during my time in Montana. Moved back to Washington. Was kind of a fan. I was like in middle school. I was in basketball. I was doing whatever. I will say though, before that time when I was in elementary school, I collected baseball cards like nobody's business. I had like this like Mariners circa like 2001 poster on my wall, and you know they say like the older you get, the more you revert back to what you were interested in when you were younger. And so I feel like between like 7th grade and probably like, I guess like what you were 13 and 23, I was just trying to like figure out my way. And then as soon as I moved to Rhode Island, I was like, oh man, I kind of miss Washington. And I just stuck myself right back into the Mariners. So I was like a casual fan in middle school and high school. But then once I moved out here to Rhode Island, that's when I started, following not every game, but 5 out of 7 days of the week I was watching.
That's a lot.
Or at least following. Yeah. And I am the sucker that purchases MLB TV. My roommate is a Yankees fan. So there's no blackout here except for when either of our teams are playing. So we split the MLB TV account, and I'll turn on the game if it's at 10 o'clock at night. That's usually when I'm winding down, and then I'll wake up around like the 6th or the 7th inning, and my TV turns itself off. But I usually have every game on. Yeah.
You have been featured, I think, on the Where I Root, right? The picture of you like something over your eyes and you like sleeping and like mouth hanging open.
Yeah, that was like where I root as an East Coast fan, and like the laptop's open, like all the lights are off. I'm like passed out. Obviously, I wasn't passed out because I took the photo.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask.
Yeah, no, that was completely staged. That was actually taken. I think I posted it sometime last season, but it was taken like 2 seasons ago. And I'm like, I have more of a following now. I'm just gonna post this now. It's still relevant, but like the actual photo. But
never meet your heroes. They're liars. Kobe never actually jumped over the car. Shay staged the whole thing on Where I Root.
But I remember Angie. She mentioned something about that tweet, and I died happy. I'm a ghost.
Wow,
I'm not real.
Angie mentioned one of my tweets.
I was going to say, Mikey.
I wrote an article called
"Oh yeah,
Abraham Toro has a little tie frames in him," and she was like, "Phrasing, like you could have worded that different." And I was like, "Nah, Angie, it was by design." But see, this is why we love Angie Menting. It doesn't matter. I was gonna say she used to be not called, but before she was married, she was Angie something else. My dad every time he sees her, he goes, "Oh, her name used to be Angie." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, I know, Dad, but clearly I don't. Anyways,
pretty notable as a softball player, right? Like,
yeah.
Played
at UW.
She
and I think is like one of the better
Colorado?
softball players.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Colorado like Bullets or something like that. If I remember correctly. Yeah, no.
Nothing Wikipedia can't fix.
We do love Wikipedia.
Yep, you're right. She was an alternate on the 1996 U.S. Olympic softball team, but declined to play for the Silver Bullets. And dang, wait, what? Hold on. She got paid $20,000. What do you think? What do you think was the secondary payment? Up
what do you
for
mean?
anyone? She was paid
the
in money.
Highest payment.
No. What else do you think they paid her with? The first thing is $20,000
for the Olympics, or to play for the team
for the Colorado Silver Bullets.
It would have been an incentive, not money. I'm guessing
a live course.
Much like the lockout we were talking about, maybe they offered her 20% off concessions at the stadium.
You're not far off, except it was free. Like, but not the concessions. It was something very specific. I'll allow one more guess.
Hot dogs.
Unlimited Coors Light.
Oh, duh.
Is that not wild? That seems
Coors latte. Yeah, for sure.
Extremely wild. Yeah. I've never heard that before. I know
there's a part of me that feels like I could extract proper value out of that, honestly. I really put my mind to it.
I believe in you, Evan.
You just resell.
Yeah.
There are rules against reselling, or if there are, then you just stash and wait till you're no longer employed and then resell.
Or you just do it, Durs, you nerd.
Well, you can if it's unlimited, you can do both. There's no limits.
This is a fact. You're right. I think someone asked you, I don't see it listed, but relevant to work. If you could have a job in baseball, what would that be?
Ooh, that's a great question.
I gotta put you on the hot seat.
I think that it would be. I don't think there's a title for it, but I think it would be something along the lines of like just like keeping the culture in not only the clubhouse but the front office around the whole the staff with the team. Anybody who gets paid by the team. just making sure like the culture is good, that people enjoy where they are, where they're working. And I mean, obviously there'd be like some like incentive for me to actually know the team, but I think one thing I've thought this kind of for a while. It started when Felix started to like kind of go downhill, and I know that a lot of people were talking about like, oh, his like training's doing this, like he's not doing that. But the first thing that came to my mind is he like happy? Is he like doing what he wants to be doing? Is he in a good position? Is he comfortable? Because culture like goes a long way, and the way that you feel at a job goes a long way. And I think that just making sure like everybody is cool with where they want to be, what they want to do. And then secondary, social media. I often say that if I'm going to be taken back to Western Washington, it's going to be only if I do social media for the Mariners, which they don't have that
I feel
open right
like
now. So
you and Jose Rivera would be a kick-ass team. I'm pretty sure he does social media, right? Durs, you would know.
All the graphics and stuff.
He what?
Yeah, I know he does all the graphics and stuff.
Yeah. So that would be pretty cool. You should apply for it.
Never say
And we
never.
could all hang out more.
You know, for a while, I was using Jose's free MLB TV account that he got through his Verizon, and because I live out here in Virginia and I could actually use it. At the time, I was in New York, that I could actually use it. Because I think most people he knows probably weren't able to use it. So for the longest time when I logged onto MLB TV, I was using his email account.
Does he not have it anymore? Or do you
I think he doesn't have it anymore because I'm paying for my own now. But there was like a whole mix up where I had to like, I think I like merged the two accounts on accident, and I had to like call MLB TV, and it was a whole ordeal because basically they thought that my student email address was him.
Oh
and
no.
I was like, so like I was. Yeah,
oh god.
Yeah. Anyway.
Awkward. Yeah.
Shay, I do feel you on the staying up thing for games because they start at 10 o'clock, and that when I worked at Trader Joe's, that would be I would get home from work at like 10:30, and I'd usually just fall asleep. Like this season, I would just like fall asleep by the 6th or 7th inning, which means I didn't know at all how our pitchers were doing. It turns out they're really good, but I never saw them once.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think I saw this last year.
Oh yeah,
So
I forget that you're still there.
So I maybe saw like 3 Paul Sewald appearances all season. I was like, everyone's talking about him. Supposedly he's really good, but I never watched him pitch.
Were they good appearances?
Yeah, they're like Sunday day games when I could actually watch the team.
Because if they weren't, then you just wouldn't be allowed to watch anymore.
But it was funny because like I'd already read like 3 of your articles about him, Mikey, and I was like, I have no idea what he looks like on the mound.
Shay also met Paul Sewald. Shay was at the game.
Yeah, that was when I met you, and I just remember we were like standing like right in front of the bullpen. We were just chatting, and then he comes up. He's like, Mikey, and I was like, I'm like, that's Paul. See, and then after the fact, after he gives you his like signed jersey, like I should have gotten a photo. I was like, holy shit, I should have taken a photo. Like, I'm a fucking asshole. Like, but great photo, A+. Whoever took it, I don't know. They should get paid for their photography.
I think so too. I don't know who's gonna pay him because we don't know who took it, but yeah, I mean, he's like, oh, I forgot what word he used, but he DM'd me after the game right when I got home, and he was like, oh man, I'm a dummy or something like that, and he's like, I should have asked you to get a photo, and I was like, I know, but I just like didn't know what to say. Like he was just like, hey man, like thanks for being a supporter or whatever, and I was like, yeah man, like, I love you. Not actually, but like
he had the ring in his pocket ready to go.
Pretty much.
Understandable.
I still need to get that jersey framed, but Shay was there to witness history. Shay is my Mariners good luck charm. I believe I believe we did not win though.
We did. Nope. It was when the Diamondbacks were in town, and
Yeah, I think it was actually like 7-1 or something like that, or 1-7, I should say.
I think
Yeah, not
Kelnick
great.
still had run that game, if I remember correctly.
Oh, that sounds right. And I think
Yeah.
Doolittle pitched. That's all I remember. But
One of
yeah,
the 4
it was a-
times he
it's
pitched
good.
for the Mariners this year.
It was a good night though.
Shay, do
It
you have
was great.
a current and former favorite Mariner?
I definitely former Mariner, and well, I'll say I have 2 favorite former Mariners. One, Ichiro, just because he's good dude, like
Yep.
just be good dude. Um, but and no,
Fine quote, Shay.
but just I mean,
Yeah.
just emphasize it. Good dude.
Yeah. Good dude.
Good dude. And my second one, nobody ever says this, but David Freitas.
That's
I mean,
a deep cut. That's a real deep cut, because if you're going to go with Chris Herman, but I respect Freitas.
David Freitas, and I will
Wow.
say it's because he has never shied away being open about caring for social justice. He's, worked his ass off. He hasn't, being open. So many people try and make it in the bigs and they don't get anywhere close to it. He's, he signed a minor league deal with the Yankees, and he's like kind of teetering, like he couldn't, but he works his ass off. He's a good dude. His wife is, from what I see on social media, great. He has really cute kids. He was just in Japan, I believe, this past year, and he, works hard. Good dude. Another good dude. But I just remember seeing on social media that he was fighting for causes that, as a white, straight, cis guy, he, didn't relate to, but he was still voicing his support for. And in male professional sports, you don't see that a lot.
Whereas like Tuffy Go Switch got released because he said some like super hateful shit
No,
on
I
social
thought that was
media.
Steve
I think.
Clevenger.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh man, I feel bad. Sorry, Tuffy. It's just kind of the same archetype. Yeah, it was Steve Clevenger. Yikes.
Yeah. As far as current goes, I mean, he hasn't played in the bigs yet, but Julio, just he has fun whatever he does.
Great choice.
And as long as you're having fun and being able to promote the fact that you're enjoying what you're doing, you're having fun, and you get to do what you love, I'm all for that. So
We would have also accepted Paul Sewald, but Julio Rodriguez works too.
Oh, you mean Paul? Just Paul? And just
Yeah,
Julio
sorry, just
and
Paul. Yeah,
Paul.
just Paul and Julio. Just our
First name
pals.
basis here.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, Mikey could probably just text him right now and tell him to hop on the podcast. You should do it.
I'm sure. I don't know if that's allowed.
No,
I
I
don't
think you
know
have to
what
go
lockout
through them.
rules are.
Well, true lockout.
None of us are affiliated
don't-
with MLB, so we're just scrubs as far as he's concerned.
That's a good point. And actually, Paul Sewald has been on a podcast. I should just ask him to come on. That'd be fun. Yeah, we could do that. I'm sure Sean Doolittle. I could reach out to either one, and they might say yes, and they might say. I'm not trying to be like, oh, everyone look at me, but like,
But
it would be pretty
hey, Paul.
cool.
Hey, Sean.
Objectively pretty cool. I'm just saying.
I would nerd out. I would, for sure.
I hate you guys, except Shay.
It would
I
be
hate
so
the-
much
I hate
fun to
the
have
boys.
Paul, though, because Paul, compared to your average athlete, has, I feel like, so much to say about stuff in particular that's important to you, Mikey. So he would be such an interesting interview. He really would.
I agree. And I mean, we should just have him and Sean Doolittle both on. Because Sean Doolittle has long been known to have, good politics and just, in terms of social justice, to be like an advocate. And Paul Sewald clearly, like, in terms of just like players, like union stuff, is like somewhat vocal. I mean, some of it is kind of like tongue in cheek or subtle, like just like kind of subtweets on Twitter. But I mean, that podcast that I don't remember who it was with. I think it was with Ryan Roland Smith. He definitely was like, I think he said like no comment when he was asked about Rob Manfred. So like, but like he said it in a way that was like, fuck Rob Manfred.
I don't think you're going to find any single player right now who's going to be like, Rob's a great guy.
Yeah. But some might, be a little more favorable than others. Zach Hayes has a really interesting article coming out on the commissioner. I don't want to spoil anything. I think he's going to talk about it at PitchCon, but he's basically, I guess this is kind of spoiling it, but he is going to potentially make the case for abolishing the commissioner.
I mean, yeah.
As a position or Rob Manfred specifically?
As a position. Yeah. It's really interesting. He's sent me his notes. He hasn't written it up yet, but I find it really compelling and like, yeah.
Yeah, the thing with the commissioner is it just like solidifies the position of like the league being run by the owners rather than the players.
Yeah.
Or rather than it being an equal split even.
He goes into the history of the commissioner, and it's like, duh, this is why these things are, unfolding as they are, because the commissioner is, basically just an owner, but he's supposed to not be,
I think an ideal world, and I haven't read the piece obviously, so I wonder what he has to say about it, but I feel like an ideal world is like the players and the owners each have a representative, and they are both in charge of making decisions together for the league.
Mm-hmm.
And that the league itself is a neutral body that is governed by both parties. But obviously that's not the case.
Yeah. No, not at all. So Zach Hayes is one of my favorite writers, I would say. He's the man. And like one of the like few white homies who have it together. Like, like good politics and whatever. So
you got to keep those close because white people are having a rough go.
What do you mean having? They've been having. Anyways,
spiraling.
Yeah.
Let me ask Shay this. So we're in a lockout right now. Obviously, it's been like the quietest baseball news has ever been in our lifetimes, I'm pretty sure. And that sucks. How do you see this ending? Because everybody who listens to this podcast knows our opinion on what's going on. But we don't know what you think. How do you see this going down? Who do you see coming away from the table when all of this is squared away with a better deal?
Give us a date. We made a bet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
What
do you have those? Wait, do you have those written down somewhere, Evan? You should share our guesses.
Do you?
Share our guesses
okay.
First.
We made a bet. I don't remember what we bet, or did we decide on when the season starts?
Yes.
That
was the guess.
Mm-hmm. So give us a date for when the season starts, and we will. What does the winner win? Crab fries at the Mariners game? Okay. Clout works too. Regular season.
I think it's going to start on time.
Interesting.
But I think that they're going to push spring training as far as they possibly can go. And I think that, what do they say? I think right now it's like you need like a month. Like if you don't start in March, then we're pushing it back a little more. Okay. I can imagine them being like, just kidding. Let's just squeeze it a little more in. Mm-hmm. So I don't think spring training's not starting on time. But I think that the regular season will start on time.
So Shay's official guess is March 31st. I just want to be clear.
Yep.
Okay.
Lock it in.
Shay's guess. Mine was like May.
Yours was like August 22nd. Or something.
For the record, I'm looking at it now. Our official guesses were not for when the season would start. It would be for when they reached an agreement. And Mikey, you said June 12th. is your gift. You had a lack of faith. Anders is May 15th, and I am February 17th. So there was some serious concern once upon a time that this was not going to come together. I still think that it's kind of still really up in the air. We don't know very much.
Even with the Evan
end of
Drellick article.
February.
End of February?
End of February.
Okay.
Last week of
Let's get a
February.
specific date. You said the last day?
Well, let's see. Nobody works Friday, Saturday,
20
Sunday. Let me see. Nobody works.
28th is a Monday.
28th is a Monday. Okay, let's see. We're gonna get it done. Let's go with March 3rd.
Ooh.
Oh,
Okay.
first week of March. March 3rd.
We're really gonna rush through those spring training games. We're gonna get people hurt, man.
I think I'm more optimistic than I was before if I said May 15th. Even with the Evan Drellick article that came out on The Athletic, where he basically was like, yeah, the owners aren't going to agree to anything till the last second. I feel like we'll start the season like a week late, and they'll just push the season ending a week later. And so we'll get all the games in, but I think it's going to be like a week later.
I don't feel great about my guess now, but I don't have a choice. I'm just going to roll with it. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope Evan's right, because Evan is the earliest. Evan is the optimist of the group. He's a grand optimist, and I am a huge fucking pooper.
Is that how we would categorize?
I mean, yeah, even optimism is 3 more weeks of nothingness.
In this case. Yeah.
You know what I think is they're going to do nothing, and then it's going to come down to where it's like there's like a week left before spring training, and they need to figure something out. Otherwise, it's going to be postponed. And then, like,
I could see that
24 hours before it needs to happen, they're going to figure it out. Because this is what happened with the pandemic thing, right? There was several times where it was like, okay, we need an agreement today, and they didn't reach it. But then at the very last moment, when it was like, okay, we only can do 60 games now because there's no time left, otherwise no season starting tomorrow. They're like, oh, okay, let's do that. And so I do think that the owners will take the last second deal, and the players will hold out and probably still get nothing because capitalism sucks.
Do you remember the old draft system where like they had a whole different like salaried system, and so Bryce Harper signed like literally the last like hour possible with the Nationals, and everyone's like, oh, maybe he won't sign. Oh, this is like 2010. This is a while ago. But it used to be a thing that like
the Nationals because they sucked too, as I recall.
Right.
People would get drafted at the Nationals and be like, no, I'm not going to play.
I do remember reading about him in 8th grade, and he was like hitting $450 or not foot dingers with a wood bat, like he's a baby. It's crazy.
First article on him was when he was 14 years old. So like he was a prodigy from the playground, essentially.
Yeah, because he was on the cover of, was it Sports Illustrated or Sports Illustrated for Kids?
Yeah. I think I don't remember which one it was. I think that's how I learned about him, which is crazy. Like no one cares about Sports Illustrated now, besides like the website.
You know who else was?
I visit that.
You know who else was on the cover of Sports Illustrated when they were drafted? It was Hunter Green.
Oh,
that's not going fantastically. Yeah, I mean he's probably gonna make the big leagues this year. So
there's just a pooper like me.
To be fair, I was sitting in what's like court, but like where like a bunch of people are there over like petty charges.
Jury duty? Like misdemeanor stuff.
Yeah,
like,
I was at one of, and not because I did anything, but because I had to be there because a guy ran into us on the road, and I had to sit there and watch him plead guilty. But I read that exact edition of Sports Illustrated while we were waiting.
Great memories.
Durs, I love your anecdotes. They're the best.
Let me ask you this real quick. Prior to, I think that Sports Illustrated did an article on the Mariners this past season, which we talked about on this podcast. It was kind of flattering to Jerry Dipoto. Prior to that, the last time that they had done a profile on the Mariners, do you guys know what team it was? I don't actually remember the year, but I do remember the players that were on.
Yes, it was the first Cano year, right? 2014 then?
They did a short one then, but I'm thinking actually earlier.
2008.
Yes. And why? Mike,
No
you know
way.
You know why? Why was it?
Felix.
It was Felix and Cliff Lee, and it was the pitching and defense Mariners team.
No, that's 2010.
Wow.
That was 2010.
Excuse me, but yeah, that was
Hey, I
a
was
big
close.
deal.
I'm gonna take it.
That's
Mhm.
right, Cliff Lee.
Wow.
Oh, Cliff.
That's wild.
It's especially wild
that's-
because they dismantled that entire team top to bottom.
That's one of the craziest trades we've ever made.
I love how the Phillies' rationale to making that trade was like, we just got Halladay. We don't need Lee. You guys can have him.
God. I mean, yeah, we'll take it.
Mhm.
I feel like we should move on to soon. Baseball America's top 100 prospects, but Shay, you still have a large cache of questions. If there are any that you would like to answer, we would love to hear them.
Okay, so there's 2 questions I want to answer. The first one is about baseball, and it's from Danielle, and she is I don't know what her actual actual title is, but she's with the Diamondbacks. She was featured recently, I think, in The Athletic. She is trans, male to female, and she is now actually faculty at ASU in the Cronkite School of Journalism.
I follow
I
her.
think. Amazing, like incredible. And we've talked on Instagram, Twitter. Very, very cool. You know, Diamondbacks, Mariners, the good old banter. I think when I posted something, a recent real TikTok that I did was, when people like to say like, "Oh, we haven't made the playoffs in 5 years," and she comes in and says, "Look, we lost over 100 games." I'm like, "Yeah, but like, let's talk about Randy Johnson. How about that?" She said nothing, but it is what it is. But she asked, "What made you fall in love with baseball and the Mariners?" And honestly, I don't remember. I don't know. It was as long as I can remember. I loved baseball. I played, coach pitch, t-ball. I still have my team photo from it was like Auburn Boys and Girls Club, and I have like this like short haircut, and it's very cute. I think I was in first grade.
I need to see this picture.
I'll definitely send it to you. It's adorable, and it's I just remember always just loving baseball. It's you don't have to watch every second of it, and you can still be in it. And it's there's the question of like, is it good that it's traditional? Is it bad that it's traditional? But there's like a great mix of it. I mean, I studied history in college, so I love history, and I love the history of baseball, and it's I don't know. It's the atmosphere. I love just going to games. Like sometimes when I go to games, I don't even watch the actual game. I just take in the atmosphere. Like I think that when I was there in September and I was with Mikey, like I don't think we watched that much of the game. No, it was just I love it. Like always have to get like a hot dog, a beer. I have this plan to go to every ballpark in America, and I was like, as soon as I graduate college, I'm going to start doing that. And then I graduated in 2018, and so the pandemic hit very soon after. But I got to go to a Twins game. I was outside of Wrigley Field, Coors Field.
Did you go to the new Twin Stadium? Because they rebuilt it a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, I went to Target Field. I was that's when I was working for the city archives, and we had a new city clerk who was above us, and he believed in professional development. He comes up to the office and he's like, "There's this conference in St. Paul and such week in the summer. Does anybody want to go?" And everybody in my office was like, "No, we're Rhode Islanders. We don't leave Rhode Island." And I was like, "Oh, let me think about it." And I was just like, "Let me check the Twins schedule real quick." And they were in town. And so, yep, they were playing the A's. And I was like, absolutely. So I got to go to St. Paul on company dime. It was a good conference, I will say, in case anybody's listening. I learned a lot. But I got to go see the Twins play, and I never went to my seat. I, walked around. I had some cheese curds, even though that's more of a Wisconsin thing. I got some. and it was a blast. I will say, T-Mobile, great park, favorite park. Just as bias, Fenway is my favorite for history, but Target Field so far is great overall experience.
Interesting. Like including T-Mobile?